Business Time. Susanna's back.
Hello there, thanks very much. The Business Secretary, Vince Cable, has ordered Ofcom to investigate plans by News Corporation to take full control of broadcaster B-Sky B. News Corporation, which is run by Rupert Murdoch, already owns 39% of B-Sky B, but wants to buy up the remaining 61%. The probe hinges on concerns over media plurality, and Ofcom must report back by the end of December. David Elstein is broadcasting executive and used to head up programming at B-Sky B. He told me he doesn't think a full takeover would lead to adverse competition in the industry.
I think the issue here is that you have to think through what possible effect on media plurality, i.e. the number of news outlets, media outlets, there might be from News Corporation owning all of B-Sky B as opposed to 39%. And it's quite hard to spot what they might be. Most of the critics have said, well, Murdoch is going to have much more revenue flow from the big profits in Sky, and he'll be able to use that to do things in the newspaper market. Problem with that is, in order to derive that increased revenue flow, he's going to have to spend £8 billion buying the other 60% of Sky. Well, if you've got £8 billion, another £100 million of revenue flow doesn't really affect anything.
The Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee has held interest rates at the record low of 0.5%. It also decided against the need for fresh stimulus measures and so won't expand its programme of quantitative easing. Yesterday, the Federal Reserve said it was going to start another round of asset purchases to bolster the US economy.
All of it's a question of timing. One of the problems that any central bank or government has is whatever you do now takes 2 years to actually happen. So what we've seen in the US is we've seen this huge drop in inflation and the economy more or less disappear into a black hole. The UK isn't showing that. We're seeing quite strong growth and inflation quite high. But what will it be like in 2 years' time? We have, on the one hand, one of the MPC members saying, do quantitative easing now, or we will go into a black hole, and the other one saying, no, raise rates.
The Chancellor has announced that the budget will take place on March the 23rd next year. George Osborne told the Commons Treasury Select Committee that he was giving 4 months advance notice of the date. He's been giving evidence to the committee on spending cuts this morning. House prices rose by 1.8% during October. That's 3 times faster than expected, but this followed a big drop a month earlier. According to the Halifax, a fall of 1.2% in the 3 months to October compared with the previous 3 months is a more realistic picture of the housing market.
I think the real picture is if you do concentrate on that 3 month on 3 month trend, which you just mentioned. Yes, the monthly figures are proving volatile on quite a number of house price indices, really because of the low level of house sales that we're seeing at the moment. But that 3 month on 3 month picture does give a good idea to what's happening, and we're seeing prices down on that measure about 1%. So in the last 3 months, about 1% lower than in the previous 3 months. So we're seeing a little bit of a moderating in terms of house prices.
The Chief Executive Officer of Northern Rock, Gary Hoffman, has stepped down. Mr Hoffman, who has run the bank since 2008, is joining NBNK Investments. He's been put on gardening leave by the bank, which is 100% owned by the taxpayers. He'll be paid £350,000 plus pension contributions until next April. That's the rate until next April for the total period. His departure is the latest high-profile move in the banking sector, which has seen changes at the top of Barclays, HSBC and most recently Lloyds. New car sales fell back again last month, dipping 22.2% compared with the scrappage enhanced figure for October 2009. A total of 131,495 new vehicles were registered in October this year, according to the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. I asked the Chief Executive of the SMMT if this car scrappage scheme had skewed the figures.
This is a bit of a messy period in terms of new car data. As you said, this time last year we had a very strong scrappage scheme running. When you analyse the data, if you take out the number of cars that were scrapped through the scheme at this point last year, actually the numbers are about level. So this year would be about level with the same point last year.
And staying with cars, Toyota has announced another recall of almost 136,000 compact cars in Japan and Europe to fix a steering problem. About 70,800 IQ and Passo cars will be recalled in Europe, all of them built between 2008 and 2010. Multiple recalls by Toyota this month have come after a series of mass recalls of around 10 million vehicles worldwide announced in late 2009 and early 2010. Finally, time for a quick look at how the markets have been faring so far today, and it's a very good performance by the FTSE 100, as you can see, up 107 points. It's now at its highest level since June 2008, and after that news of interest rates being kept on hold, the pound has strengthened after today's decision, hitting its highest level against the dollar since January at 162. That's all from me for now. More from Rachel later.